Hello, and welcome to your weekly sell of the seashells on the seashore from the team at electrifying.com. Yes! I'm really smug about that because I know that Tom wrote that just to annoy me.
I'm so disappointed. If you didn't listen last week, we had a tongue twister, and Nicola didn't quite manage to... Well, he didn't do badly in the end, so I thought I'd put another one in for you. If you've got any particularly good tongue twisters that might...
Bring on the challenge now.
Nicola.
I'm feeling cocky. Right, This week we're going to be talking about the 242-mile-an-hour electric Mercedes. We'll also be answering your electric car questions and dipping into the postbag to find out your views on last week's episode. Welcome to the Kilowatt Half Hour. I am Nicola.
And I'm Tom.
Hey, team. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you after your adventures this week?
Right. Allow me to explain if you haven't seen it all over my Instagram. I was posting it on my
She
story.
made a fuss. You made a fuss.
Well, I think it was right that I made a fuss, although I can't fuss as much as others, to be fair. So on Tuesday, I was going to Paris on the Eurostar, and the plan was to get the 7:30 train in the morning, which we all know is super early because you've got to get into London really early, and when you live in Sussex, that's a pain. So I had to get up at 4. And then the plan was to get the evening train back. Now, we went there to go and film and see the new facelifted version of the Peugeot E308 and the E308 SW, because we all love a long boy. I can't tell you anything about the car because that's all embargoed until the end of August. But we filmed, we had a lovely day, everything was great, got back to the Gare du Nord, and it turns out that somebody had basically got in front of a train just before we arrived. So there was lots and lots of delays and a bit of chaos. Now, we were booked on the 7:10 train. They boarded the 5:10 train. They boarded the 6:10 train. This was probably about 45 minutes late by this point. And about 10 minutes before we were about to board, they announced that somebody else had gone in front of a train. And now everything is cancelled. Now, bearing in mind, we were just supposed to be in Paris for a day, so I didn't have anything with me. I just had my normal bag with me. Didn't have any spare underwear, didn't have any makeup wipes, didn't have my toothbrush, didn't have a European charger, because the plan was to go home. Or I was going to actually go and stay in a travel lodge in Milton Keynes because I was supposed to be looking at the Hyundai Ioniq 6 the following day. I didn't make the Ioniq 6 the following day. We're now filming that next Tuesday instead. Because overnight, what happened in Paris was someone decided to steal 600 metres of cable from the train line. So then everything was cancelled and everyone was abandoned in Paris. Now, also the problem was it's Paris Fashion Week, which means that there were no hotels. The cheapest hotels you could get were like 1,500 quid a night. There were 6 of us on this trip. And bless Mason at Peugeot. I know he listens to this podcast. Mason, you were incredible. Mason is Peugeot PR. And he was the calmest person. We were all panicking, going, where are we going to stay? What's going on? He was like, don't worry about it. I've got it covered. He found us a hotel. I ended up sharing a bed with Mason that night, which is fine because he's gay, so it's not a problem. So we shared a room and we shared a bed that night, and then a couple of others had to share beds that night. And then we managed to get the 3:10 train, which didn't leave until about 4:10 the following day, and travelled super slow while they were trying to fix the lines. But the thing is, I had to remove my makeup with Mason's toilet wipes. We managed to get the hotel to find me a toothbrush. I borrowed Mason's European charger, fine. But the people that were on the train, the 5:10 train, the one a couple of hours earlier than us that left, their train stopped, got stuck for 7 hours, and then went back to the Gare du Nord, arrived back at midnight. There was no hotels for them whatsoever. So you had thousands of people that were stuck, couldn't do anything, couldn't go anywhere, and just sleeping on the floor of the train station because there was nowhere for anyone to go. So as much as I can complain about the fact that I was wearing the same clothes for 2 days straight and I absolutely stunk, the poor other people that then got stuck sleeping at the train station, it was boiling hot. When they were stuck on the train, there was no water, there was no food for them. It was just horrendous. So yes, that was my ordeal this week. It was, let's call it an experience.
And I'm going to look on eBay now and see if anybody's got 600 metres of Eurostyle cable for sale or something.
600 metres? I think they just took advantage of the fact that there was no trains running because there was 2 separate incidents that then stopped everything from running. And then they've gone, oh, well, let's just go for it because we can just get some copper. And then 600 metres of cable. It's insane. The knock-on effect was not nice. And the Gardenal was not a nice experience. I felt so bad for the staff working there because obviously it's out of their control. You had people screaming at them, shouting at them. And then you just had people that were just sat there, similar to us, in the same clothes as the day before, just absolutely stinking. I definitely stunk on that train home. I definitely stunk.
Gardenal's chaotic at the best of times. If they've got like 4 trains backed up as well. Oof.
Yeah. But it was more than 4 because you had some that left and then came back. And then you had the ones from early in the morning that then couldn't go. And it's not just the ones that are going into London. You've got the ones that are going to Brussels, the ones that go... I think it was all happening around Lille. So then you had the knock-on effect to all of the other train lines that use the same tracks. So it was thousands of people.
This is getting a little technical now, but presumably, because you go through the immigration as you go to the station, don't you? So at the end, you can just come out.
Yeah.
So they have to then reverse that because everybody's getting off the trains again.
Yes.
And coming back in.
Yeah. So they had to take our passports because we had already gone through. They had to take our passports and then they basically just got a pen and struck 2 lines across that stamp. And then we had to leave and then come back in again. And then they had to re-stamp it. So now I'm a bit annoyed because my stamp's uneven. But it was that and then trying to figure out how to use the ticket that we had technically already checked in with to get on another train, and their system just wasn't accepting it. So everything all had to be handwritten. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, those poor staff at Eurostar and those poor people that were stuck on the train for 7 hours with no water and no food. And I think on a couple of the carriages, like the aircon stopped and stuff. Oh my God. Awful. So I can't complain. We ended up in a quite a lovely hotel. They had a dressing gown. That was nice. But we had about 3 hours sleep and then we smelt by the following day from just wearing the same clothes. I had to turn my underwear inside out. So there we go. That's been my week.
Excellent. Excellent.
Had a lot of dramas with all the Peugeot things lately because obviously I went to Le Mans with Peugeot and then they gave me a Le Mans car, Lego Le Mans car. So I spent last weekend building that. My fingers are still sore. Looks good though. Pleased with that.
Tell the people what you did.
Oh, did Mason grass me up?
Yes. Oh. He was as horrified as I was.
So
any Lego lovers out there, prepare yourself.
Right. So there were 375 pages. Okay. It's my first time doing a Lego Technic set. On page 20, I clearly must have made a mistake. But I didn't realise that until page 220. So by that point, the car was then massive. And I went, what do I do? I don't want to have to take the whole thing apart again, or I'm going to throw this thing across the room. I was just about... Because the whole thing took me 14 hours in total. It took me an entire weekend and a couple of bottles of wine. It was crazy. So I used a steak knife and I cut a little bit off the end. And then it all still fit together. Don't hate me, Tom. Please don't hate me.
Across the world, there are sharp intakes of breath.
I was on the cusp of crying when I found out. I was like, I can't. Surely I can just get a steak knife and just cut this bit off and it'll be fine. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out, though. But as you can see it, nobody would know that I've cut it off. But I shouldn't have told Mason because now Mason's told you and now I've had to say it on the podcast. So this is all Mason at Peugeot's fault. But it looks great. I'm really pleased with it. I really am.
I think you've let us down. You've let yourself down. You've let the Lego community down.
No! I don't ever want to do another one. It was really stressful and frustrating. Yeah. My fingers are still sore.
I think Lego Technic sets are a bit like kind of drinking heavily, that you forget about it, how much trauma it was and how much it hurts, and you go back for more because they are slightly addictive.
Well, I was doing it while I was drinking heavily, so... It's probably why I made the mistake. By page 20, I was a couple of glasses of wine in by that point because I was taking everything so slowly, trying to organise everything. Well, there we go. Never mind. What you been doing?
Oh, well, I've had some traumas, not quite as bad as yours, but I shall show this for the people who are watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
This was the cause of my trauma.
What's that?
This, I believe, and for people who are just listening, is a shard of what I think was once an alloy wheel, like the edge of an alloy wheel, which has now become a very sharp thing. Which I was driving along country lane. I took my son's car for an MOT to the local garage, driving back in the Grandland, and that got embedded in the tyre. Now, what was interesting is it just started off as a click, 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 and I'm like, that's weird. What's that noise?
New.
And then it starts to feel, and you go, oh. So I had to pull into a lay-by on this country lane. Interestingly, you know, cars these days, if they drop like 1 PSI, you get a warning message and lots of bings and bongs. Nothing. No warning messages at all, which is very strange. So I pulled over, called the RAC, there were two things about the RAC. First of all, they said, yeah, okay, we'll come and get you. And then I got a call from somebody else who said they were from the RAC, who said, oh, yeah, you can wait a couple of hours for a patrol to come and help you out, maybe. Or I can get a tyre fitter out to you and they can bring a tyre and fit it at the roadside, which will be about 25 minutes. And I thought, you cheeky sods, you're going to try and sell me a very expensive tyre, aren't you? Yeah. And I can see that a lot of people just go, yeah. So I said, oh, look, it's a fleet car. I don't know what they'll want to do. I'll let you know. Oh, I'll ring you back, he says. Never did, because obviously thought they're not going to go for it.
They're not going to make some money, yeah.
But I thought, ooh,
cheeky buggers.
That's naughty. Anyway, the RAC came very quickly. The bloke came along. He looked at it. I had already tried the kit of goo, thinking that might at least get me home. Yeah. You know, these sealant kits that you get in cars these days.
Yeah.
Tried it, nothing. And he said, oh, you're doing it wrong. And explained that what you have to do is if you can find where the puncture is on the tyre, you have to rotate the tyre. So drive it, presumably, or on a jack if you've got one, so that the puncture is at the bottom. Because, of course, you put the fluid in, and if the puncture's at the top, it's all sitting there at the bottom. Yeah, I'm like, I'm so stupid. But now I know. So he put in like some bung plug things and then pumped it up after putting it to the bottom, so all the fluid was going to the bottom.
Yeah.
And he said, don't drive at more than 40 miles an hour. And I said, well, look, it's 2 miles that way. It's fine.
Yeah.
Drove back very gingerly.
Yeah.
And that was, and then booked a tyre fitting, which they couldn't do for 4 days because it's a strange EV specific tyre. And it's still up, still holding all its pressure. Now, like 3 days later, it's fine.
Interesting.
But I haven't driven it. I thought, no, I don't want to risk driving it. So I have been driving this week a 2012 Fiat Panda.
2012 Fiat Panda. Oh, that's adorable.
It is. It is surprisingly good, actually.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So going around, going into cheeky little spaces and where, you know, between two Range Rovers in the white light, they're on the white lines and I just go, ha ha, and go in.
Space.
Yeah. And that sort of nonsense. So that's been refreshing after driving big things for a while. This is the pickle,
though, isn't it? When a lot of, majority of EVs just don't come with a spare tyre anymore. A lot of modern cars now, regardless if they're EV or not, just don't come with a spare tyre. It's all just a repair kit. Yeah.
Well, I think people get very ragey about it. And I can understand if you've been stranded by the side of the road because you haven't got a spare wheel, you do get upset. But, touch wood, this is the first puncture I've had in years, a proper one by the side of the road.
Yeah.
And if I'd have done it properly, the little foam kit would have got me home. Now, if I'd have gone into a pothole and it had slashed the tyre, I would have been knackered. But would I rather have a spare wheel which costs more money and takes up lots of weight and boot room for that once in every 5 years when I have a puncture? I don't know.
Yeah, fair theory. Yeah.
Because you think about all the weight they take out of cars these days, all these engineers shaving off things by putting in magnesium parts that cost a fortune, and then somebody bungs in a 20 kilogram spare wheel in the boot. I don't know.
Especially when it would come to an EV as well. That's just going to add more weight to the car and make it less efficient and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
For such a rare occasion.
Yeah. So people do get very upset and say, oh, we all had spare wheels. And fine, put a spare wheel in the car. But I think I'm still going to say I understand that there is a compromise to be made and I'm happy not to have one.
Yes. Oh, Tom. Oh, Tom. Happy in your Panda, though. That's nice. I'm happy for you.
But our video this week, which is out on Sunday, it's the same day as this, I think, is of Nikki driving the Silence S04.
Oh,
which is a really interesting car.
It looks like the little baby sister of the original smart car, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's like a Diddy squashed cartoon version of a smart car.
Yes. Talking of smart cars, and this isn't electric car related, did I tell you about Mike Smart being on telly?
No.
Weirdest thing. So I was sitting down watching some telly, and there's this car that's this program that's called it's about motorways. Oh, I should have checked before I came.
When motorways go horribly wrong on Channel 5.
Oh, I'm going to have a look. Channel 4. But anyway, it's a Channel 4 program, and what they've basically done is they've got some drivers who are real people, and they've put them in big remote control cars. So they've remote controlled real cars on a bit of Scottish runway. Yeah. And then they stage a motorway pile-up. It's called pile-up. That's what it is.
Oh, well done.
And they put they're driving along. Oh, isn't this clever? In like the simulator thing. And then they pull a truck in front of them. It goes across the motorway, and they all go, panic, and slam on the brakes and then crash. And then they see how they react in real time and all that sort of thing. Interesting program. What they've done to put the remote controls in these cars, they've got all hydraulics and everything. But rather than having a simulator where they're doing it in a big tent, and obviously a simulator will cost lots of money, is they've just bought a load of old smart cars and then made those the simulator rigs, if you see what I mean. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So they have the remote control things from these smart cars with the real people in them, controlling the cars which are on a runway, which have all these hydraulic remote control stuff in.
Yeah.
Very clever. Very good idea just to use smarts because they cost a few £100. Anyway, poor Mike, who is one of the team, had a smart car that he bought when it was brand new in 1999, 2000, and it was the first smart officially imported to the UK. And Mike adored that car, and he'd done 18,000 miles in it.
He loves a small car for such a tall man.
I know. And he tried to sell it to me because he said it deserves to go to a good home because it's low mileage and it's sort of significant.
Yeah.
And he dragged it out to get it an MOT, and the thing blew up. It was only running on one cylinder or something, and it had a crack in there. And he's like, okay, there's a local smart specialist. I'll sell it to them. So they said, yeah, we'll take it away. Gave him a pittance for it. And then he was really, really quite upset when he got a certificate of destruction, which means it's been scrapped through the post from the DVLA. Aww. And he was properly gutted, as you would be. When I own a car that you've had for 21 years, done 18,000 miles and was quite special to you.
Yeah.
Gone, scrapped. Anyway, I was watching this program, and there's a close-up of these smarts, and I'm like, that looks very much like Mike's. A very early smart in the same colour with the same wheels. And then they had a shot of the interior, and Mike's had a unique interior because it was very early, where it was green on a blue car. And it was his car.
No way!
On this programme. So it kind of had a final hurrah. So I think he was quite pleased.
Oh, that's so sweet. I wonder if he can still get his hands on it now, if it's now just being used as a simulator type thing.
No, once they've had a certificate of destruction, they're basically classified as toxic waste and you can't do anything with them. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, we should talk about electric cars.
Oh, yeah.
The Silence, which Mike probably would like, wouldn't he, a Silence, because it's small and weird.
Yeah, he is.
It's very narrow.
He's tall and weird.
Yeah. So narrower and shorter than an Ami. But the clever bit is these removable batteries, 2 of them. Pull them out, and you can take them up to your flat. You can take them up to your office desk and plug them in underneath.
Oh, like an electric bike, motorbike sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they come from an electric bike because Silence is a big Spanish scooter company.
Yeah.
Or you can swap them in Spain at least, but not here. So it's an interesting video. It's quite entertaining, and there's a little bit of a thing at the end. I don't want to ruin it really, but she sort of says if everybody in the world drove these, it would be brilliant, but they don't. So does it work? That's the question.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I will watch that on the electrifying.com YouTube channel. Yes, I will.
Yes.
Good old Nikki.
Yeah, it's good. Other stuff in the news this week. Have you seen this Mercedes?
No, you were sort of telling me a little bit about it just before we started recording.
Well, it's an AMG concept. I've just started to write the story, so I haven't got everything. I haven't read through it all because it's one of these typically Germanic press releases, which is about 14 pages long.
Yeah.
But it appears that it's an AMG concept, which will be the new GT four-door coupe thing, all electric.
Yeah.
1,300 horsepower and a top speed of 242 miles an hour.
Holy moly.
Yeah. So that will...
That's insane.
Unnecessary, I would say, but I suppose they need to...
well, you'd take it on the Autobahn.
Yeah. I wonder how quickly it goes down. It'll also charge at something like 600 kilowatts if such things existed. But the styling...
What? Because you're saying there's a mouth.
It's a bit, yeah. There's a big fish-like mouth on it.
It's a fish face.
So, yeah, presuming that I do actually manage to get the story up in time, have a look at the website and tell us what you think. It's bright orange. You can't miss it.
That's crazy, though. Mercedes are throwing out some interesting vehicles at the moment because you're going to go out and drive the new CLA, aren't you?
I am. I'm quite looking forward to that. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, that's next week.
Although there will be an interesting Q&A about the lack of fast charging in the UK. Do you remember? Can't fast charge. So it'll only fast charge on 800 volt systems because it's got an 800 volt charge pack. So it won't use 400 volt, which of course most of them are here. So it severely limits where you're able to fast charge that car.
So it'll be, isn't this great? Isn't this great? Oh, but wait, you can't use it. Right. That's a pain.
That is a pain. So there'll be an interesting Q&A. I shall report back.
I found the AI system in the new CLA when I did the walk around. I found that really impressive. I know, like in the video, there was a few moments where it wasn't quite listening to me, but the Gemini, I think it is the Gemini system that it uses, is so clever. And you can be like, I want to go for dinner tonight. What do I fancy? I fancy something, I don't know, like Japanese. And it will just come up with all these solutions for you. And it will say, maybe you should go for something like this. This has this amount of tables. Do you want me to take you there now? And it's like, wow, so impressive. Very clever. I think it's a lovely car. I'm excited to see what you think of how it drives.
You could have asked it to find you a hotel in Paris.
That would have been handy, wouldn't it?
Or drive home. Couldn't you
drive home?
You drive home, yeah. I would have bought a car, I think. Go and buy a Mark 1 Renault Twingo and drive that back. 2CV.
Yeah, also, can I just say, we also looked at hire cars and there weren't any because everybody panicked and there were no flights and no hire cars because there were thousands of people then trying to get home. So, just so you know. And the 308 that we were looking around wasn't to be driven. It was in a studio. So, we had no car. Okay. Talk to me about Octopus.
Oh, yeah. So Octopus, this is really interesting because there's all these companies saying, oh, we're going to do vehicle to grid. We're going to get there. And it's going to be next year. It's going to be next year. It's been a thing for quite a while. And then Octopus come along and go, boof, here you go. Here it is. It's a package. It's ready to go. So for £299 a month, you get on one of their tariffs.
Yeah.
You get a BYD Dolphin, which is a car you ran for a while, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you get free electricity for that car while it's charging. So free. Which, if you're spending 150 quid a month on petrol, is like, well, hang on a minute. How does that work? The catch is, because what they're doing is that you plug that car in, it's using vehicle to grid. Oh, and it includes the charger as well. So that uses vehicle to grid. So in times of high demand, what they will do is just nick the power from your car's battery to cover it locally. It might be in your house, might be wherever else. This is kind of the big thing that, if there's a sudden surge in the grid while everyone puts their oven on and puts on Coronation Street and all their lights or whatever it is, a heater, at 7 o'clock in the evening, they can just cover those peaks by using the power from your battery. So it's good for them. Then they charge it up at night when it's cheap and no one's using any energy.
And you're getting the car thrown in.
And you're getting the car thrown in as well. So this is very good. The catch is you have to plug in the car at least 20 times a month for a minimum of 12 hours. Now,
I don't know if I could do that.
You see, in the old days when I had that Leaf, which had a range of about 3 miles, I was used to plugging in every night. It just, you got used to it. A bit like you do with your iPhone. You go, well, I'll just plug it in at night. It's fine.
Yeah.
No problem. But since I've had cars with like a 300-mile range, I've got very lazy.
Yeah,
it's like,
same.
oh, yeah, my car needs plugging in. I better do it. And it's kind of once a week. If that, obviously after a long journey, I have to do it. But normally, if I'm just pootling around, I'm doing that once a week. So having to plug it in most days would be a bit odd. I don't know.
You have to remind yourself, set reminders to be able to do it. Because I'm exactly the same as you. It's only if I know I'm doing a long journey the following day that I'll plug the car in. Whereas if I'm just, I don't know, popping to the local train station, going to Tesco's, doing whatever, then I don't plug it in and I let the battery run down.
Now I'm trying to think what you would spend on electricity a month, and would that make it worthwhile? So if you're on an overnight tariff, you're spending 30, 40 quid a month on electricity maybe. So that's what you're saving.
But also then you've also got a car. You
have got a car. Yeah. It's a shame it's just a BYD Dolphin. Well, I mean,
it could work for some people.
Yeah. I mean, the curious thing for me was people who've been talking about V2G for a while, Kia, they were talking about it a year ago, saying it will be around in a year. Nissan have talked about it. Renault have talked about it. Yeah, we're going to do this. We're just getting it all into place with the energy suppliers and the charge point suppliers. No one mentioned BYD. I didn't know it was going to happen. And then suddenly, boof, here you go. Here it is. It's a package. Go and buy it. Go on, off you go. So it'll be interesting. I don't know how it works.
It's a nice option to have. Yeah,
let us know in the comments if you think that's a good deal and if that would work for you.
Nicely done. Nicely done, Tom. This episode of the Kilowatt Half Hour is brought to you with the help of Anderson EV. If you're into design as much as you're into electric cars, you will love their home chargers.
Anderson's A2 and A3 aren't just functional. They're beautifully made with a choice of 200 colours and finishes, so they can blend in with your home or be made to match your car.
No bulky boxes, just smart tech that looks great and works. You can find them at anderson-ev.com. There we go. Give us your Barnard's bargain.
Okay, well, if you don't want to spend £299 and have your money, your electricity included, how about this? An Ioniq 6 on my usual deal, which is a 3-year lease and 8,000 miles a year with a 6-month initial payment, 323 quid a month. I think that's
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's
I think I'm one of the rare ones that actually really likes the Ioniq 6. There's something about it that looks quite cool and quite sleek. I think I'd prefer the 6 to the 5, dare I say it.
Yeah, you're wrong, obviously. I think it looks like the front and back have been designed by different people. But
I see what you mean.
I
it
think
just makes me think of the Jetsons, and I don't know why.
I think when you do eventually go and get to see that car that you didn't go and see because you were lauding it up in Paris 5-star hotels, I think that will be the one that is really quite interesting.
Yeah, Tuesday night.
The
Tuesday night. Me and Manos working hard and going, wow, this is so cool. How do I get one of these?
Return of the Big Wings.
Yes, very nice. Very nice.
The other bargain I saw, which isn't a lease, but it's a used one, was a car that I'd forgotten existed, which is the Maserati Grecale for Glory.
Oh, blimey. Yeah.
Do you remember those? It's the SUV thing. Yeah. Oh, I looked.
I totally forgot about them.
Yeah. And I thought, there's one a year old, 3,600 miles, so barely used. And it was 65 grand. And I thought, 65 grand, that's a top of the range, something normal these days. How much was it new? About 115.
No way.
And I think the problem is, first of all, it's a big electric car, so they do tend to depreciate, but also nobody knows about it.
With 3,500 miles, that's nearly half price.
I know. It's just nobody knows it. They don't go. They might go, I'll have a Taycan or I'll have one of these other electric cars, but nobody goes, I know what I need is an electric Maserati.
Oh my God. That's actually, for 65 grand, then yes, that is a Barnard's bargain. Good find.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Good find. Very nice. Right, let's move on to some comments and questions. So we got this one here from Chris Lammy. Hi, Chris, who says, hi, team. I finally joined the EV Owners Club after years of being EV curious. welcome. I had 3 options for my purchase: the Enyaq, the Ioniq 5, and the iX1. Now, the head said Enyaq, the heart said Ioniq 5, the iX1 felt like the middle ground. I was only looking at a 4-wheel drive option since Scottish borders towns have been cut off with bad snow historically. The Enyaq wasn't fast enough, and I have to admit Mike's issues with the Ioniq 5 put me off somewhat. Given that I have 5-year-old twins who are daft on bikes, the roof rails on the iX1 would make my life a little easier. I have the dynamic sounds on, so when you press the boost paddle, you get a 10-second countdown. Everything goes red, the car launches, and it sounds like a spaceship. I tell people that my kids love that feature, but it's not just them. I recently did a 500-mile trip to the Download Festival from the Scottish borders and had a very easy time public charging. 1 charge on the way down, 1 charge on the way back. Love the show and the team. That is great. I am more than happy for you there, Chris. That's fantastic. And yeah, there's something about like a little 10-second boost that's just really nice and satisfying, isn't it?
Have you ever used one? I'm trying to think if I have.
The GV70, I use it all the time. Every time I've driven a GV70, I'm like, whee! It's really good. Press the boost button all the time. It's great. In the Genesis, it's brilliant.
Oh, well, we've got Brian Dixon who says, hello from the owners of a cheeky Abarth 500e and a cute Fiat 500e. That's an interesting pairing, isn't it? You think that people will have, if they've got 2 cars, they'll have one big one and one small one, or one family car and one sports car. But to have 2 500es is
same cars. Same cars, one's a little bit more boisterous. Yeah.
It was interesting to hear the summer range question on last week's pod. Whilst the summer is here, both cars continue to reach their claimed range. The Abarth doing most of its 160 plus miles on a motorway, and the Fiat's 192 miles between towns, averaging 4.5 to 5.2 kilowatt hours. They're both great little cars, and we love them. We would also like to add that Fiat managed an 1,800 mile plus Scotland to Germany road trip in 2023. No. And as I type this, we're putting the finishing touches on our Bath trip on an even bigger route from Scotland to Italy. I'd like to thank you for giving this great podcast, and it played a part of our conversion to EV. Brian. That would be fun, wouldn't it? That sort of road trip.
It would be fun. Like I'm just thinking about their bums.
Oh yeah, it's not got the best ride, is it?
It's not got the best ride, and it's not got the most comfortable seats. You are not going to feel your ass by the end of it. Oh, Brian, we wish you all the best of luck with your trip from Scotland to Italy, but please, once you've done it, let us know if your bum goes completely and utterly numb, because I think it will. But that's great that they're doing trips like that in such small little Diddy EVs. It shows you can do it. You can do it. Fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic.
Are you going to do Andrew's one, which is one for Mike, but I think Mike has helpfully given us an answer. We'll have to pretend to be Mike by being really tall.
All right, so I'll do Andrew's message, and then you do your impression of Mike. Here we go. This is from Andrew McGlenn, who says, "Hi everyone, I really enjoy the podcast. Thanks for the great content. I've got a slightly offbeat question about the Skoda Enyaq, and I'm hoping that Mike/Tom can help. I know it's a firm favourite of Ginny's, but this one is aimed at Mike specifically. I am 6'2". This is why it's a question for Mike. I understand. I'm 6'2" and a bit concerned that the row of switches above the centre console might be exactly where my knee wants to go. Mike, do you think this could be an issue for taller drivers?" Over to your impression of Mike, please.
Well, and my impression of Mike would just be kind of being off screen, because he's... How tall's Mike? 6'4", 6'5", 6'5", I think he is, isn't he? Mm-hmm. Anyway, Mike has helpfully told us, he said, it's not a problem. There's loads of room, plus there's a lot of travel on the steering wheel rake adjustment, so you can get the seat backers far enough to get your legs straight without the wheel being miles away.
There we go. Fantastic. Lots of love from your tall friend Mike. Brilliant stuff. There you go, Andrew. Well, if like Andrew, you watch the Kilowatt Half Hour on YouTube, it will be brilliant if you could head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts as well, and give us a follow there too. Maybe leave a comment, because now we are in the top 5% of podcasts globally. We're aiming to grow even more. So every follow, every review and share really helps us with our plans to make the show even better. So thank you in advance.
Yeah, and share it with all your EV curious friends, or if they're already converted, and see if they disagree with us and get them involved too.
Yes. Now, last week we were talking about the E208 GTI, because I went to go and see that at Le Mans. So there's been some comments that have come in. This is from @MTBox with a 0. Yeah. If the Peugeot is doing a GTI, does that mean that the Corsa will be getting a hot version too, like a GTE or a VXR? Have you heard anything?
But yeah, they've done a couple of concept cars, haven't they? The GSE, are they called? So I'd imagine there will be. Whether it'll be quite as hot as that, I don't know. But I mean, the VXRs were ridiculous back in the day. They were kind of much faster than anything else. So hopefully it will get the same thing.
Yes. At Richard Piper 4828 says, it strikes me that the E208 GTI is a panic response to the Alpine A290. The quick fix was to raid the Alpha parts bin, add some fancy alloys and crank up the power to leave the A290 in its wake. I'm not buying it, literally or metaphorically, or too contrived, and add insult to the legacy of the original 205 GTI and true hot hatch fans. Now, Richard, I'm going to disagree with you there, because this would have been in the pipeline for much longer before the A290 was even released and announced. So I reckon it's just kind of one of those things. We're moving our way over to electric, and people are craving something with a bit more power and a GTI vibe. And this is the way, in the time that we're living now, to tick that fun GTI box that many of us will be craving. So that's what I think it is. And I don't think you should steer clear of it. It might be worth a test drive, see if you like it.
Also, I would say that the 205 GTI was a reaction to the original Golf GTI, which was a huge success, obviously, and there were probably some other GTIs. Were there any other GTIs around at the time? Must have been. But, the reaction of the original, the 205 GTI came about because of those GTIs. So if Peugeot are doing that again and they're going to make it perhaps even better than the Alpine, then great. We just get some more fun GTIs.
Yay!
And it will have to be good, because the Alpine's good.
Yes.
And Peugeot GTIs have been a bit meh for a while, haven't they?
We'll have to wait and see. We haven't driven it yet. Give us time. Give us time.
Well, Urban Strencan says the new spicy 2.8 GTI was actually really surprised they're making it. Didn't know it was in development. Neither did we. Is it the first proper Hyundai i20N Ford Fiesta ST EV replacement?
Oh,
well, hopefully it is.
Yeah. I miss the Fiesta ST. Cracking car. Never mind. Let's move on. What's this? Oh, home chargers, yes or no?
People complaining about my maths.
Yeah, go on. Read it out then, Tom.
Mika Davis 660 says, sorry to disagree with the maths regarding the granny charger versus a dedicated wall charger, but it's not a factor of cost 7p versus 45p. It's a factor of how you actually use your car. If you only ever drive 20 miles a day, then look only at cost. However, if you actually drive your car over any distance whatsoever, a granny charger will never keep up with your consumption need for electricity. Even my wife sometimes needs to charge the car 3 times in 1 week, and other times only once every 2 weeks. Without a wall charger, we would never cope. And Jeff Olf, says, my thoughts on dedicated charger. Yes, they are well worth it. Granny charger on a 3-pin socket is helpful, but not the safest to use constantly, as they do pull max power from the socket. Dedicated charger is also far more flexible in getting a charge overnight.
Yeah.
It will also allow access to specific EV charging tariffs, such as Octopus Intelligent, allow extra hours at the peak charge, peak price at full charge. Absolutely. I think that Mika Davis' point is very true about the cost. And if you need to do that, there's some other people who've said, oh, yes, well, you can do it. And you've saved £1,000 by not having a dedicated charge point. And therefore, I'm going to keep plugging in. But it is a lot of it. Like we were saying earlier, plugging in every night.
Yeah.
And you can't leave a granny charger out.
Yeah, it's a lot of power coming from one plug socket. It's a lot of power coming from it. So, Joe Ulf has absolutely made a point. I do genuinely think it's worth getting a 7 kilowatt charger if you can at home, because it makes a massive difference. Once you've done it, you'll never turn back. Yeah. Oh, audio systems, because we were speaking about this last week, because I was talking about Steve Fowler, and he's very specific with his audio testing and stuff like that, because the new DS number 8 has a lovely audio system, but like things over the speakers, and we were wondering if the actual brands that's branded in the cars actually make the speakers, right? So John Nodge 4327, who says, reference to posh audio brands. When I had a Land Rover, I replaced the factory speakers with some name brand upgrades from an optioned model. When they arrived, I was surprised to find that the speaker frame and magnets were the same, but the Posh brand had woven fibre cone instead of hard plastic cone of the factory speakers. The Posh ones did actually sound better with more detailed, less muffled sound output. So I would say the Posh brands are better, but the changes are generally the finish that is seen, with a small but noticeable improvement in sound quality. Our Ioniq 5 has Bose, which generally stands for buy other sound equipment, but it's not too bad if lacking in sparkle.
And Wild Dashwood 82 says, in-car audio has always been very important to me, but I ignore the brand and the ridiculous claimed power figures and go with what my ears tell me.
Yeah.
The actual physical hardware, speakers, amplifier, DAC, etc., are only half the story anyway. Far more important is the installation, placement and calibration. The environment you listen to music into has arguably more influence than the audio system itself, and car audio is no exception. The best I've heard so far was the premium upgraded sound system in my 2016 Model S.
Oh, interesting. See, I'm really not an audio nerd. I'll be honest. If I can play the radio or if I can play my music, then I'm turning it up loud and I'm probably singing louder than it anyway. So it probably doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah, I think there's also, and there will be people out there who know this sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you use your iPhone and it's music that's stored on there, there are different qualities of recording you can do it at. So different file size, a bit like pictures. So pictures, you can look at them in low res or high res.
Yeah.
And on a lot of these phones, because you're listening to them on headphones, you don't really need the highest quality. So they'll just save it as a smaller file.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got a really high quality stereo and you want to listen to it in the best file size possible, it makes a real difference. And you notice that with some songs sound better than others on your stereo. So I think, and please let us know if you know better, but Spotify I think is quite good, or you can have settings on it so it's better than
you can.
Than other ones.
You can change the settings in your Spotify. If you're just on generic, then your Spotify isn't as sexy as you can make it sound if you go through the settings. I've now got YouTube Music because it's included with my phone bill, and I don't think it really sounds any different to Spotify. If I'm honest with you, sounds very similar, very similar. But then I'm singing over it again, so I don't know.
Yeah, CDs are really, really. You go back to listen to a CD. My son, who's 20, has suddenly got into camera with filming, old-fashioned film, and CDs because they're so cheap. But the quality of them's amazing. When you listen to it, you go, oh yeah. But you need obviously an older car that's still got a CD player in it to actually notice the difference. But if you find like something old, you get an old classic. But when I say old, 10, 15, 20-year-old car that's got a high-quality stereo that's been looked after and has had the speaker player, and you put a CD in, you go, oh, I remember now. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, that sounds nice. There we go. We've done it all in 42 minutes, Tom.
Have we?
Yeah.
Well,
that's pretty good for us. That's pretty good.
And most of it was about cars as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So ahead to next week. Yeah, so Tuesday night I'll be filming with the Ioniq 6N, which is very exciting. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. That's not driving it, just walking around it in a studio. So I'll find out everything that we can find out. And then eventually there'll be a video up on the YouTube channel. And then after that, then it's British Grand Prix, isn't it? So I'll be there. And then it's Goodwood Festival of Speed the following weekend. So that's where they're actually revealing the Ioniq 6N to the public. So exciting times. Yeah,
and I'm driving the CLA, so it'll be interesting to.
Very nice. Stunning. Well done, team. Well, don't forget to subscribe wherever you are. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know thoughts, questions, comments, anything you want to put really in the comments section below. Because the more you comment, it's good for us and good for the algorithm. And
tell us the best tune that you like for testing car stereos, and we'll
I've got to try and remember the one that Steve Fowler used. I remember it being really camp.
Wasn't it "Take on Me" by Aha or something?
It was. I'm sure it was Diana Ross. Stay there while I look up Diana Ross songs.
He did
keep talking.
He was talking that there was an Aha song. He was. I don't know if it was "Take on Me" or one of the other ones that was done for Dolby or something. That was. He does
I'm
like his
Coming
cheesy
Out
music
by Diana Ross.
Really?
Because the opening drums And the opening sequence, apparently you can just tell it. You can tell within seconds how good a sound system sounds. He was like, sorry, I have to put this song on. I was like, you want to put this wonderfully camp song on? You go for your life, Steve. It's wonderful. He was like, I have to, because it's the best song to listen to the sound quality. That was the song, I'm Coming Out by Diana Ross, which we all know is a tune anyway. So it's a win-win. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, well, I'll see you next week, probably, won't I?
Yeah, lovely. Have a lovely weekend.
Thanks for listening.
And yeah, don't forget to watch Nikki's video on the silence that's going to be on YouTube, hopefully today. If this goes out on Sunday, I don't know. Okay.
Stop wittering.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you next week.